tuned to the POLITY, reaching you live from the Abuja studios of King Adebayo Film and Theatre Arts Network, popularly known as KAFTAN Television, where we imagine a beautiful world. The POLITY is a program that takes a deep dive into unfolding political events within Nigeria and even beyond the shores of the country. My name is Macaulay Honohashi, welcoming our esteemed viewers from around the world for joining us this auspicious afternoon on the POLITY. So much is happening and lots of political events are unfolding within the political firmament, which are also causing lots of disruptions, thereby changing the political dynamics of the country, especially as all eyes have remained focused on the 2027 general elections. Across the length and breadth of Nigeria, news dominating headlines include, but not limited to, the declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the altercation at the National Assembly yesterday between former Minister of Education Dr. Obi Ezekwesili and Senator Nwa Ebonyi, which resulted into an unfortunate outburst between the two national figures. We also have talks about the planned political coalition, which is purposely aimed at dislodging President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the 2027 general elections, dominating the news, as well as reactions over the interview granted by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar yesterday, where he described the leadership of the Nigerian Senate under the leadership of Senator Godswill Akpabio as corrupt, and the news of a judge withdrawing himself from Senator Natasha's suit following Senator Akpabio's petition over the sexual harassment allegation against him. But our main topic of this edition is on the journey to grant the 774 local government area councils in Nigeria full autonomy, which has been on a bumpy journey since the Supreme Court judgment of July 11, 2024. Well, for the proponents of full autonomy to be granted the 774 local governments in Nigeria, there seems to be a glimmer of hope, like a silver lining in the horizon, because the House of Representatives on Tuesday, the 25th day of March 2025, which is yesterday, passed for second reading a bill seeking to establish the National Local Government Electoral Commission, an independent body responsible for organizing, conducting and supervising elections into the offices of chairman, vice chairman and councillors across the country. Sponsored by the Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu, the bill was read on the floor of the House of Representatives by the Majority Leader, Professor Julius Oyebere. If established, the Commission will be tasked with ensuring credibility, transparency and fairness in local government elections while promoting democratic governance at the grassroots. According to the draft of the bill, the Commission would comprise a chairman and 37 members representing the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. The bill provides that the chairman, who will serve as the chief electoral officer, and other board members will be appointed by the President on the recommendation of the National Council of State, subject to Senate confirmation. The Commission shall provide periodic reports on its activities and the outcomes of local government elections to the President, the National Assembly, and the general public, thereby promoting transparency and accountability in its operations. The bill further of the 1999 Constitution to empower the Commission to regulate the conduct of political parties and their candidates during local government elections. It added that, and I quote, "The Commission shall be responsible for organizing, conducting, and supervising elections into the offices of chairmen and councillors of all local governments in the Federation, including the area councils of the Federal Capital Territory. It will also set election timetables, manage polling processes, and ensure compliance with electoral laws." It further said it will observe further registration, maintain an accurate and up-to-date voter register, and ensure that eligible citizens have access to participate in the electoral process. The Commission will regulate and monitor political parties, still part of the provisions which will be displayed on your screen. And I quote, "The Commission will regulate and monitor political parties, candidates, and other stakeholders to ensure compliance with campaign finance laws, electoral codes of conduct, and other regulations. It will also design and implement voter education programs to inform the public about the importance of local government elections, their roles as voters and the electoral processes, thereby reducing voter apathy. The bill also stipulates that the Secretary of the Board shall be appointed by the President on the recommendation of the Commission's Board and must be a legal practitioner with at least 10 years of experience. I don't know whether I'm supposed to repeat this for the purpose of our viewers so that they can have a grasp of what we are talking about. And let me start by, telling you the provisions of the bill. The bill provides that the chairman who will serve as the chief electoral officer and other board members will be appointed by the President on the recommendation of the National Council of States, subject to Senate confirmation. The bill shall provide periodic reports on its activities and the outcomes of local government elections to the President, the National Assembly, and the general public, thereby promoting transparency and accountability in its operations. The bill further seeks to amend Section 153 of the 1999 Constitution to empower the Commission to regulate the conduct of political parties and their candidates during local government elections. It added that the Commission shall be responsible for organizing, conducting, and supervising elections into the offices of chairmen and councillors of all local governments in the Federation, including the area councils of the Federal Capital Territory. It will also set election timetables, manage polling processes, and ensure compliance with electoral laws. It will also oversee voter registration, maintain an accurate and up-to-date voter register, and ensure that eligible citizens have access to participate in the electoral process. The Commission will regulate and monitor political parties, candidates, and other stakeholders to ensure compliance with campaign finance laws, electoral codes of conduct, and other regulations. It will also design and implement voter education programs to inform the public about the importance of local government elections, their roles as voters, and the electoral process, thereby reducing voter apathy. That has been a problem in the country. The bill also stipulates that the Secretary of the Board shall be appointed by the President on the recommendation of the Commission's Board and must be a legal practitioner with at least 10 years of experience. Well, so much is happening. Many people have agitated for total autonomy of beyond the financial autonomy that was granted by the Supreme Court on the 11th of July 2024. Many people are calling for administrative autonomy as well as a political autonomy of 774 local government areas, because it makes a nonsense of the financial autonomy if the process that leads to the emergence of our local government chairman is still within the whims and caprices of state governors that continue to hold sway. Well, I have two gentlemen joining me. One is going to be joining us via Zoom, but right here in the studio that has already joined me live is no other person than Honorable Vidieno Bameyi. Vidieno Bameyi, you're welcome to the Polity.
Thank you very much.
Well, Vidieno is a politician, a businessman, and also an advocate of total autonomy for local government chairman in the country. He is a one-time member of Adamawa State House of Assembly, and further than that, he is the National Secretary of the Young Progressives Party, YPP. Vidieno Bameyi, are you a proponent of autonomy for local government chairman?
Oh, yes.
You started by saying, oh, yes. That's so emphatic.
Very emphatic. I was in the Adamawa State House of Assembly from 1999 to 2007. That's 8 years. And during that period, I was one of the lone voices that was insisting that local government should be given full autonomy to operate. That's the only way we could maximize, the dividends of democracy. And unfortunately, we couldn't actualize that during our time because the governors, were holding very dearly to the local government funds and the local government administration so that they can put their surrogates and people that they like, anyone that they want to put, so that people who will be answerable to them at any time. So, and since that time, I have attended several workshops, seminars, conferences where this matter has been advocated. And each point in time that the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria had been amended, I have been one of those people that used to present memoranda to ask or request that local government should be given full autonomy. And you could see at the various stages of amendments of the Constitution that each point in time they will bring it. It will pass through the National Assembly. But when it gets to the states, to get a 2/3 of the states of the Federation had become very impossible. And the state governors will always crush it at that point. So I think that's why the present administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu through the Attorney General of the Federation went to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court gave that judgment that mandated all states to give local governments full autonomy. And you know that autonomy will not be complete if the election or the electoral process is still managed by the state independent electoral commissions that are under the local, the governors, because the commissions are established by the state governors, and they always ensure that every election that takes place, the government in power takes over all the electoral offices in all the local governments of that state. So that is why this bill is highly commendable, and I subscribe to it fully, and I support it, even though there are some few areas, gray areas that I think need to be addressed.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll come to that.
Right,
well, viewers, I would like to also inform you that Video Nabambi is beyond politics. Beyond being a politician, is also a legal practitioner. He's a lawyer, you know, with over getting to 4 decades of post-graduation. You know, Video, now it has become a legal matter. You have alluded to, you know, the victory that was, you know, that was recorded at the Supreme Court, you know, through the instrumentality of the Attorney General of the Federation that got a judgment in favor of financial autonomy for local government area councils. Here we are. Yesterday, there was a bill that was presented and just going for second reading. You know, as a lawyer, take us through was there gray areas that the Attorney General ought to have done that we shouldn't have warranted the National Assembly to even take a look at this at the Supreme Court? Because we're talking about financial autonomy, we're talking about administrative autonomy, as well as political autonomy for the local government chairman.
Yeah, I think that case that was brought to the Supreme Court addressed all the areas that needed to be addressed when it, as far as administration is concerned, and finances. How the local government finances should go direct to the local government itself, not going through the state government. The bone of contention, basically, actually, with the local governments, why they have been underperforming, is simply that the local governments are being emasculated by the state governors. So the state governors will corner the funds and dish out to them stipends, barely enough to pay salaries. Sometimes not even enough to pay salaries. So the local government chairmen or administrators used to be people that would just be paying salaries. The bulk of the funds are cornered by the state government and governors, and in the name or in the guise of you know, carrying out developmental projects in those local governments. But at the end of the day, they don't. It became funds that were easily stolen by the governors, and nobody can account for them. You can't hold them responsible. The money didn't come in the name of the state government. It came in the name of the local government. So it became like a cash cow for the state governors. That is why basically that suit was just to address the issue of finances. Yes. So it just stopped short at this, the major, another second area, which is one of the second major areas that needed to be, needed attention. That is the election itself, the process of electing those officers. If you, the way it is today, if you leave it in the hands of the governors and the state independent electoral commissions, they will always be putting their surrogates and people that will be answerable to them. They, like it is now, In most states, they will still collect the money, or they'll get it directly, and they will take it back to the state, and they will give the state back a huge chunk of that money. And you know, what was given with the right hand has been collected through the left hand.
Yes.
So I think that is why addressing the issue of the electoral process and is very, very paramount, and it will help, you know, stabilize the local government system very well. Since they're getting their funding direct, also how they enter the office must also become independent of the state governors and the political parties that are in control of those states. Otherwise, nothing has been done.
Well, Honorable, you were, hello, we were being joined by the Honorable Akala electronically. Akala, Samuel Akala, can you hear us? Beautiful.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're welcome to the Polity, Honorable Samuel Akala. Can you hear me?
Thank you. Yeah, I
Could
can
you respond
hear you.
if you can hear me loud and clear?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Well, I can barely hear you, but since you can hear me, thanks for joining us on the Polity this auspicious afternoon. You were a member you were the chairman of Karo Local Government Area Council, and you have been in the forefront as a proponent for you know, autonomy of this local government, and you have always represented ALGON, the umbrella organization of Association of Local Government, the umbrella organization of all local government chairmen in Nigeria. That is the Association of Local Government of Nigeria, and you have been, you know, in the forefront fighting to see the need for local government to have to gain this financial autonomy. How did you react to this bill that was presented yesterday that has passed through second reading? How did you feel?
Okay.
I know you feel good.
Okay. Well, for me, I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you loud and clear. I can hear you now.
Oh, great.
Loud and clear. Go ahead.
Great. Now, for me, it is in line with my advocacy and our thinking for the independence of the local government. So the point we have tried to drive over the years is for the local government to be truly independent. And the independence of the local government begins with the recruitment process into the system. The way and manner officials or leaders of that tier of government are elected determines how independent they can be in terms of their operations and in terms of ensuring that you are able to get more competent people that can discharge the responsibility of that level of governance. So for the bill that has passed this second reading at the National Assembly, in my humble opinion, my personal opinion has been that, look, is either we truly make the State Independence Electoral Commission independent, because at the moment, there is nothing independent about the state electoral bodies, or we allow the federal INEC to take over the conduct of elections into local government councils. And of course, the third option is that have a truly independent body that will be saddled with the responsibility of conducting elections into the local government councils. And let these elections be conducted in one day. Let the local government also have a unified 4th term of office, and let there be a uniform pattern of operation at the 3rd tier of government. So for us, this is cheering news, and we hope that this will go through, and we also hope that it will have the desired concurrence at the state houses of assembly. So for us, it is still work in progress and in line with our thinking for the local government.
Okay, this is cheering news, like you said. You know, with the benefit of hindsight, I remember at the onset of this democratic journey in 1999, Honorable Videno here was elected member in Adamawa State House of Assembly. You know, local government chairman was so, you know, the activities were so robust. You know, at a point under the auspices of ALGON, the Association of Local Government of Nigeria, you know, launched 1,000 Prado Jeeps as their own contribution to beef up security of the country. And then, you know, mayors were invited. They came from America, from Europe. They attended a ceremony at the Eagle Square. It was so robust. You know, that clearly it was a spectacle of how powerful local government chairmen were then. And then that, you know, created some kind of envy and fear among, we were watching of political events as they were unfolding then. Towards 2022, 2023, we saw, before the next round of elections, their power, so to speak, were being stifled, and they became like doormats, or they became tools in the hands of state governors. Do you see us reverting to that with this kind of bill, to that kind of scenario?
Yes, our hope and desire is that we revert to that situation you have just painted, because in 2002, 2003, there was a grand conspiracy against the corporate existence of the local government in Nigeria by state governments. So you can, at best, describe what happened then as what you can call local government capture. So local government was captured, it was subdued, and to the point that the local government couldn't breathe, actually, to take over its responsibilities. And that is why citizens of the country have lost confidence in the third tier of government. Today, when elections are announced, nobody cares to make out time to go and vote because they believe that those votes don't count. So what we hope to see in the nearest future is that this system of governance, this local government system, we're talking about a third tier of government, revert back to that situation that you saw where local government was quite effective, primary healthcare system was effective, primary education was effective, you had D-free, you have sanitation that was truly serving the communities, and then people at the community level don't bother to care what the governor is doing, what their senator or any other elected representative is doing. They see the local government chairman and their elected councillors as their true leaders at that level of governance. Recall that at that time, when you have elected officials into the local government council, it's usually a galaxy of different political parties coming together to carry out their responsibilities. But what do you have today? Today, if the governor is APC, from A to Z at the councillorship level and at the chairmanship level in that state will be dominated by the party of the governor. So you do not expect to see tangible results coming out from that. So we expect to see that we go back to that level where different political parties have the opportunity to participate in the election, and the citizens are allowed to elect their representative. By that, you can be able to replete the economy of the country, because small and medium-scale enterprises can only be stimulated when the local government councils are effective, when they are active and carry out their responsibilities. But my point of worry has been that there is a judgment that has been passed by the Supreme Court and the federal government is yet to obey. So this is also another cause for worry.
Still on that judgment, Okala, before I come back to the studio with Honorable Bami, you know, you have alluded to the judgment that was gotten by the federal government, and well, it was many people's, you know, heave a sigh of relief that you know, local government administration, which is the closest tier of governance to the people, will eventually have a fresh air to breathe. And at every point in time, in the process to implement the Supreme Court judgment, there are impediments, and those impediments are being put in place by state governors, so to speak. Now, the last one is the ability, or the effort by the Attorney General and Central Bank of Nigeria, urging all local governments to open bank accounts with the central bank rather than having the accounts sent to the state governments through joint accounts. But there has been frustration all through this, and it has not been able to become realizable. Do you see that as a better alternative for them to have accounts with central bank, or this option that the House of Representatives has taken, should be allowed to go the whole hog?
Well, for me here, speaking on this issue, that we're talking about two different issues here. Okay? There is a Supreme Court judgment that needs to be obeyed. And then, of course, there is a reform of the electoral system that affects the local governors, that affect the third tier of government. So there are two different things. So for the Supreme Court judgment, that must be obeyed. You don't need a gestation period to obey a Supreme Court judgment. So the conversation around opening an account, of course, the local government must have an independent account to receive its funds directly from the federation account. I support the idea of the local government opening an account with the branch of CBNs in their various states where they can access their funds directly. But I do not also understand why that these account issues have taken almost a year to be opened. So for me, it's a cause for worry, because to open an account with the Central Bank of Nigeria should not take more than 48 hours to get that done. So for me, it is the same federal government who went to court, got judgment. The same federal government is in possession of these funds. The same federal government has refused, to my personal opinion, to obey this court judgment. Because I do not see the state government coming to say, oh, do not send money. Because you do not need to subject the judgment of the Supreme Court to further negotiation. There is nothing, absolutely, to negotiate about the Supreme Court judgment. Assuming that a judgment of the Supreme Court affects a governor or affects a local government chairman to be removed from office, within 2 hours, that affected official of government is out of office. So I do not see why this is taking ages. So the issues at the National Assembly is about reforms of the third tier of government, which we are truly and fully in support of it. We have made presentations, we have made submissions as to the areas of the Constitution that needs to be altered to ensure that the third tier of government is truly independent and functional to serve the needs of Nigerians.
Okay, I'll come back to you in a moment. Honorable, he has alluded to the fact that Nigerians do not need gestation period to respect or obey the judgment of the Supreme Court, and he is accusing the federal government of deliberate disobedience of the Supreme Court judgment, because he said the federal government has access to the fund. It is the federal government that disburses the funds. They ought not to disburse, these funds to state government. But only last week, the January, February allocations were released to state governments. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think the issue of these finances of local government being released to state government is it's like going back to the same thing that has bedeviled, the local government administration. You release it to state governments, they will still trap those funds once it enters their joint account, and they have very numerous frivolous or sub topics or titles, how that money will be, how it's expended. They have so many things that they claim to be using those funds for. And at the end of the day, very little goes to the grassroots, which is the local governments. So I think I quite agree with him that the federal government is not being sincere about this situation. If they are being sincere, I don't see any need why they should release those funds to the state governments, because it's going back to the same thing. They should insist local governments that do not have accounts with the central bank should not be given funds. Funds should not be released to them, so that they will access their funds directly and use it the way they want to do. It is still going back again, getting back what was taken away from the state governments. You're still giving them back again. So I think I quite agree with his position.
Okay, one of the reasons the state governors are advancing is that, and they reiterated the same, reason when a few governors that are Muslim faithful had an opportunity for iftar with the president to break their, Ramadan fast with Mr. President. Yes. They reiterated that, some of the reason why they are insisting that this money be paid to them is because they have incurred debts on behalf of the local governments. So, and local government chairmen are saying they are not the ones that incur those debts, it's the state governors. So the state governors are saying, and these debts are huge, so they need to repay them.
I think that is just giving a very lame excuse as far as I'm concerned. In the first place, they do not have the right to access local government funds. They were taking it because they were in control of the local governments. Yeah. And those debts were incurred by them under the pretext of developmental projects for the local governments. So I think the state governments who have incurred such debts or liabilities should settle it through the state funds. Because what they were doing was, right from the beginning, illegal and unconstitutional. It was an illegal act they were doing. They were like almost stealing the funds of the local governments, if I will use that word. So why must the local governments pay for that? Since the funds or the debts were not incurred by the local governments directly, I think the state governments should pay those debts and allow the local governments to make use of the funds that rightly belongs to them to carry out developmental projects.
Okay.
That is what I believe.
Okay, you know, Honorable Akala talked about the leadership recruitment process that is faulty ab initio, and it is still ongoing. There are states that for years we never saw elections at the local government level. They use what they call caretaker. And we all know the reason why they maintain caretaker. In many states, the elections are so funny that, like you said also, that where a political party is dominant, all the local governments will hold sway, like in my studies happen everywhere.
Everywhere.
Exactly. So, in addition to that, we need also a legal framework that will free local government from the shackles, you know, especially in terms of the leadership recruitment process, because we need a transparent process that will ensure, you know, robustness in the election process of the emergence of leadership at the local government level.
Yes, I believe so. I agree with you very well, because that is what happens across the states of the Federation. This is because the state independent electoral commissions are controlled by the states, by the governors. So whatever they want goes. In most states, what happens is not election. It is selection. The governors will determine who becomes the chairman of a local government, and in most cases, even councillors, they go down to that level. And they must be people of their own party. And at the day designated for these local government elections, at the beginning, I have participated in one or two at the beginning when we were in the State Assembly from 1999 to 2007. Then it used to be a bit more transparent than what it is now. I remember going for one of the local government elections, and while we were still casting votes, somebody called or drew attention that they are announcing the winners of the local government. We have not finished casting votes. You are announcing winners already. Talk less of collating those votes, counting it and collating it. So I became very exasperated, and I don't want to participate. We had a situation in my local government where the local government,
Lamurde.
Yes, Lamurde, where the election was conducted, counted, collated, a candidate from a different party was announced as the winner, and the people jubilated, and everywhere there was jubilation. But when it turned out for the day of the swearing in, the candidate of the government, the party in government, was sworn in on that day, or the day of the swearing in. The person that was announced as winner was not sworn in. And that's the impunity that comes with leaving the local government election to be conducted or under the control of the state governors. So that is why there is a need for an independent, autonomous body to conduct these elections. Some of us were of the opinion that this independent National Electoral Commission is capable to conduct that election, because the independent National Electoral Commission conducts the election to the area councils of the FCT, the 6 area councils. That's the local governments. And they can extend it to the states, because the House of Assembly elections, in any case, across the federation, is conducted by INEC. And every local government has a member representing it in the House of Assembly. Some local governments have two self. So they have the voters register, they have the manpower, they have the vote, they have everything it takes to conduct the election. So very recently, late last year, the National Assembly Joint Committee on the amendment of the 1999 Constitution called for a memorandum. We submitted a memorandum to them, and our position was that the local government election, that section that deals with that gives power to the state governors to appoint or set up state independent electoral commission, should be removed from the Constitution, and the power to conduct this election should be given to INEC, so that there will not be duplication of purposes. My query about this National Local Government Electoral Commission is that it's tantamount to duplication of powers. Yes, of the Independent National Electoral Commission. And if you analyze it carefully, you see why I say it tantamount to duplication of powers. So our memo to that committee was that the INEC should be allowed to conduct local government elections.
We'll come back to that.
All right.
Okay, let me go back to Honorable Akala. Honorable Akala, I earlier saw you nodding your head while he was pontificating on that point. Was it, you know, a sign of agreement with some of the things he was talking about, you know, with regards to INEC, you know, his proposition that INEC should be saddled with the responsibility as an additional responsibility? Was it, you know, in agreement with that? You were nodding.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like I said in my earlier remarks,
yes,
you see,
you said so.
when you're also trying to solve a problem, you try as much as possible not to run into the risks of creating another problem. That's because you know, you look at the cost of governance in the country. You know, so when you now say, okay, you are creating a totally new electoral body for the purpose of conduct of local government election, it means you're going to now create a lot of offices for them and what have you. So the point is that if you empower federal INEC to conduct elections into the local government, simply what they can do is to take over the offices of the state electoral bodies. They already have offices in all our local governments. So they take over those offices, empower them, and then the state offices can be saddled with the responsibility of continuous voters registration. So you decentralize certain responsibilities to these bodies so that INEC will now be unbundled to carry out this responsibility efficiently. So, but if you need the wisdom of the National Assembly, because what I hear them say is that they are going to find it difficult to have concurrence from 2/3 of the state houses of assembly, because the governors will not allow those kind of amendments to pass through the state houses of assembly. You are aware that the governors are also fully in charge of their state houses of assembly, like they're in charge of local government. That is how they are in charge of their state houses of assembly. So it is only that which the governor once said passed, that the state houses of assembly that survives. So the fear again is that they may not have the third concurrence from the 36 state houses of assembly. So if creating an independent body can salvage the local government and get it to survive again, so be it. So it has our support, and as one who has been there, I make bold to say that the solution to our development challenges lies in the local government. Security solution lies in the local government. The day that the local government begins to function effectively, then security challenges would drastically and fizzle out almost immediately. So I agree with the submission of the honorable member who is with you in the studio, and that I believe so much that that can go a long way to salvage the situation.
Well, Honorable Akala, the only demographic that seems to be challenging the effort of everyone that wants full financial autonomy for local government administration in Nigeria seem to be the state governors. And they are individuals, and they are not more than 36. And one begins to wonder, why would someone subsume the futuristic efforts of everyone, to see a better country for the future, and for personal and selfish gain, that is gratification, that is immediate. You begin to wonder if a state government will say, no, we need this money to be coming to us, against a plan, a legal framework that will create a better country for the future, where you can have robustness at the grassroots level, which is the closest tier of government to the people. You begin to wonder, why would somebody be thinking like that? What would you say about that?
Well, it's unfortunate that we have found ourselves in a country that a few leaders who are supposedly elected by the people will choose to hold the entire governance system to ransom, because you have 36 persons. This immunity is what has given them the latitude to carry out certain things that they have continued to do. And the immunity is on the person of the governor. The immunity is not on the state governments. Today, you have state attorney generals in those states. The question is that, what have they been advising their principals? I see that the guest with you in the studio is a lawyer.
He's a lawyer.
I had opportunity to speak at the NBA conference in Abuja. And I said, look, your members are part of the problems, because they are the one managing the state governors. How can a lawyer who ranks 20 years on the bar go and look at our laws on the face and decide to attack it? So for me, the immunity is on the person of the governor. The immunity is not on the state government itself. So critical stakeholders, civil society organization, the NBA must be able to dig deep and understand what happens in the state. So for me, it is a worrisome development, and I'd like to call on state government. This is the time for them to stand up and be counted in our developmental history. Let them be remembered that when it matters most, they were there to salvage the country. They were there to ensure that development trickles down to communities. So for me, I hope that the state governments will hearken to voice of wisdom at this time and let it go. They must allow the local government to breathe. It's time to let go.
Thank you. I'll get back to you in a short while, but let me come back. Honorable Vidian Obamei, you've heard him. He said, okay, he said state governors are hiding behind the immunity that they have, as a constitutional provision to all these things that they're doing. He also insisted that that immunity is only on the state governor, not on the state government. And he also accused your constituents, as the legal profession, lawyers, of misleading these state governors, by not coming out to tell them the truth, these issues. And they hide behind this immunity to perpetrate all this evil, so to speak.
Well, you see, he's entitled to his opinion, but what I think is happening is that if you have as many people as you have, okay, so you can have different or divergent opinions. And the law is subject to interpretation. And we always rely on interpretations of the courts and of legal juries and so on and so forth. So no matter the position you adopt, you always find a lawyer who believes in it. And so some lawyers, that is why you have some lawyers who are helping the governors to perpetrate whatever evil
they are doing. Exactly.
These words that they are doing. Now, I must say that the legal profession is quite noble and is one that is dynamic and is one that is very robust. So you cannot you know, with one sweeping hand, blame all the lawyers.
Yeah.
No.
No, he's not blaming all the lawyers.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, but there's a preponderance,
Yes.
you know, of such actions.
Definitely. That is why whenever you have a governor in power, he appoints his attorney general. And his attorney general should be able to defend him in whatever actions he takes. Where I fault some of my colleagues is that sometimes, even when you are principal, you know very well that the action or course of action he wants to take or has taken is completely illegal, unconstitutional. A lot of them don't have the lever to stand up to them, face them and tell them, no, it's wrong. Don't do it, or what you have done is wrong, reverse it. That is where there's a problem. And I don't think it has to do with the profession. Maybe it has to do with the person. There are people whose personality are such that they cannot, they are fearful, they are just like that. Anything goes for them. And there are people who are very strong, who have strong personality and will stand up to face the truth. Ideally, a legal practitioner should stand for justice. So where you see anything done wrongly, you stand and face your principal and tell him that it's wrong. So, and that is why when they want to appoint our attorney generals, they always want to go for people who would be answering yes to them at all times.
Okay.
Who would seek to justify whatever illegal actions they take and seek to, and it's happening all over. Even if you look at the recent decision taken by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to suspend the governor of Rivers State and his deputy, you would know that that is an unconstitutional and an illegal action. You don't need to be a lawyer to know that. The Constitution never gives him that power to do it. But I'm amazed that highly reputable senior advocates of Nigeria, the Attorney General of the Federation, who is his principal advisor, and other senior advocates who are in his cabinet, and senior lawyers could not have the guts to tell him that this action is wrong.
In fact, the Attorney General has come out to defend the action of Mr. President.
So you see, it has to do with the character of the kind of people that are appointed into such offices. They appoint people that they know will always be answerable to them and will defend them. I quite agree that we should have lawyers who would stand firm and tell the people to their face that it's wrong. If it means resigning, you resign. I cannot be in that position and I will allow such a decision to fly. I would rather resign my position. I would rather resign. Okay.
You earlier alluded to the existence of duplication. If this law eventually, you know, scales through, could you take us through some of them?
Okay. Like I was saying, first and foremost, you see, the conduct, the functions of the National Local Government Electoral Commission are functions that are, for all intents and purposes, similar and the same with what the Independent National Electoral Commission is doing. The election is done at the units and the wards and at the local governments. So, and the INEC has local government offices in all the 774 local governments of Nigeria. And they have electoral officers that are EOs that are, you know, in charge of those local governments. The voters register is generated from the local governments. The voters are based in the local governments. You appoint another independent body, separate body, to conduct the same election. That INEC has everything it takes to conduct that election. They have the voters register. That has gone through so many processes and is very much refined now. It's not like it used to be before. And they have a system that they have employed, the beavers, which they are improving upon, that is making the electoral process very transparent and very credible. So it's, to me, it's tantamount to duplication of duties or function. Why don't you just allow them, give them the powers to conduct the local government elections like they are conducting for the FCT, all the area councils? The local government elections can even be conducted even on the same day with the House of Assembly election.
Okay.
Yes. Or even if it's a separate day, the INEC has everything and all that it takes to conduct that election. So to create a separate body will be duplication of functions. Now, if you see the amendment, the law that the House of Reps that passed second reading yesterday, you see, they sought to amend Section 153 of the 1999 Constitution, which it now gave the new body they are creating the power to monitor political parties.
That's right.
And the power to monitor political parties is vested in the Independent National Electoral Commission. So you are creating another body, also giving it powers again to monitor political parties. There is bound to be conflicts in this monitoring, the powers they are given to the new body, because they may have their own separate system of how they want parties to conduct their affairs. Whereas INEC has already regulations and guidelines that are standard on how political parties should conduct their activities and carry out their electionary processes. So you could have two different rules or laws that might be at conflict. The political parties might be at a loss which one to follow.
Exactly.
Because they may seek to want to, maybe they're used to the one by INEC, and then you bring your own separately. They may want to apply the rule of INEC here, and you say, no, our regulation is different, and it could create some problems in the administration of political parties. I think the best thing to do is to empower INEC to conduct the local government elections. Now that is my own position.
Now that the bill has gone through second reading, at what point should we expect concurrence from the state legislature? Because it may be a problem.
Okay, yeah. It has to also
and it's two-thirds concurrence.
Before it gets to the state legislature, the Senate too has to pass it.
Has to pass it.
The Senate will have to pass the same bill, and then after it passes through the Senate, they will have a committee of what they call to reconcile maybe some possible differences between what is passed by the House of Reps and what was passed by what is passed by the Senate. So once they reconcile those differences and it comes up to be one bill, and it is at that stage, then it must get the concurrence of two-thirds of the states of the federation.
Yes.
The two-thirds of the state of the federation must pass it also, and they agree that the way it has been passed. Before the president will now...
I asked you the question deliberately because Honorable Samuel Akala mentioned earlier that this could be an effort in futility, because the state legislatures are within the whims and caprices of state governors. So they will not allow them to have that two-thirds concurrence.
My brother, let me tell you what is even happening, because the democracy as it is practiced today in Nigeria is I don't know the right word to use. It's frightening because it is drifting farther away from what we know to be democracy. Because you will find out that a governor would want every member of the state assembly, whether a sitting governor, to be people elected or put in place by him, such that they are his boys. To use the word boy. They are his boys. Anything he says, they will do. So by the time it reaches such boys, because the speaker will be his boy, he will insist, okay, elect this person speaker, deputy speaker, and so on. And they put everybody in place. At the end of the day, when it comes to them, the governor will simply tell them, I don't want it to pass. And that's all. The state assembly will refuse to pass it. And that is the problem that has bedeviled this local government administration getting its autonomy right since 1999. Because once it comes to the table of the state governors, the state assemblies, the governors will simply call the speaker. Sometimes not even the whole assembly. Just the speaker, and tell him, Mr. Speaker, I don't want this to pass. That's all. He'll come back and the whole meeting with his colleagues, and they will throw it away. So I think, like he said, that it might be an exercise in futility. But let's have hope. Let's still have confidence in and give them the benefit of the doubt that it might be possible to get the two-third state assemblies of Nigeria to concur with the National Assembly if they pass it. Because different people will have them in place, and they are listening to some of these things we're saying, the state assembly members. And I have seen a situation whereby state assembly members have left the state assembly and have gone to the local government as chairman, and or are aspiring to. Some have come from local government to the House of Assembly, vice versa, like that. So if that is the case, and people of quality people who are willing to become local government chairman have been restrained from going into the field to contest because of some of these impediments that are placed by the state governors. If you give them autonomy, complete autonomy, it will attract quality leaders into the local government leadership cadre, and you have people who would, work very assiduously to bring dividend of democracy to the people. So I think, on the whole, let's have hope.
Well, let me go back to Honorable Samuel Akala. You are an insider in the, in the affairs of Association of Local Government of Nigeria, ALGON, and I know how much you have done for the association. And it is a voice that is supposed to be for all local government, protecting the interests of all local government area councils. There are Nigerians, and there are also the leadership of ALGON. All of them that consider the leadership of ALGON are local government chairmen as Nigerians. How worried would you say ALGON is as an institution?
Well, I am a former local government chairman.
Yes.
At the moment, I only play my role as a patriotic Nigerian by providing some technical support to ALGON. So I'm actually not in a place to speak for ALGON, but what I see is that you have a crop of leaders who are committed to the development of our nation. You have a crop of leaders who are eager to salvage their people from the shackles of poverty, insecurity, infrastructural, developmental challenges, and all. So I see them who are, every day you find them having 1 or 2 meetings with development partners on how they can attract development. So from my experience with the association, I see that they are committed to entrenching development, and they are so worried that up till now, the local government has not taken that ideal shape that is supposed to be. Recall that every citizen of our country reside in a local government. No Nigerian reside in a state or federal government. And that is a battleground for our development. So if we get it right at that level of governance, that is the narrative I hear at the ALGON level. Once we get it right at that level of governance, we will be able to surmount our challenges. So it is cheering and encouraging that the crop of leaders we have now have avowed their minds to doing the right thing, acknowledging that they are at the center of our developmental challenges. So I think that is what I can say about that for now.
Well, Honorable here, right here in the studio, ended that last response with saying, let's be hopeful. Being hopeful, if these things, after getting them behind us, local government, as the closest tier to the people, closest tier of governance to the people, gets financial, political, and administrative autonomy. What kind of robustness do you expect at the local government level in terms of infrastructural development and even participation of, high caliber politicians at that level?
Well, thank you. First, I am not losing hope, actually, but okay. we were just looking at the realities, But right now, I know that there are a lot of critical stakeholders who are also reaching out to state houses of assembly on the need for them to do the right thing and salvage the local government. So speaking with you this afternoon, I'm also quite hopeful that this time around, the state houses of assembly will concur to the freedom of local government. And once the local government is freed up, number one is going to address leadership recruitment issues. Number one, the citizens will decide who lists them. Number two, the quality of persons that will participate in the election will also significantly improve. You know, a system, what the crop of leaders you have in a system determines the level of performance it can, go. So if you have more quality persons coming into the leadership space at the local government, you should expect that you are going to have improved effectiveness in service delivery. So what I can say is, going forward, once this is done, we're going to witness tremendous amount of increase in primary healthcare system. You know, at the moment, the primary healthcare system has been abandoned to a center for the poor. The primary healthcare system is supposed to be the first point of call for every Nigerian, no matter how highly placed, because it's the closest to you. That is the essence of having a primary healthcare system. But right now, that has been abandoned and is better seen as a center that addresses the needs of the poor, which is wrong. So I see that also changing narrative. I see primary healthcare, primary education also significantly going to improve. The rate at which we all send our children to private school will significantly drop. I see sanitation improving. I see that rural road, agriculture, security particularly will significantly improve if the local government eventually gets its freedom. I am so hopeful, I'm so confident that this will happen in the life of the current administration.
Well, I'm excited with your optimism. Honorable Samuel Akala, former chairman, Karo Local Government Area Council. You have never shied away from talking to the media, even though you are I know that you are a very, very busy person. You never stay in one place at any particular given time. Thank you so very much for joining me this auspicious afternoon. I appreciate you. I most profoundly thank you for finding time to avail your precious time with us this afternoon. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Well, viewers, we're going to take a short break, and when we return, Honorable Video by me will still be with me as we wrap up the program. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Imagine a beautiful world. That's our slogan at Kaftan TV. Hello there. I am Ruben Okala.
Hello, I'm glad to have you join us again on the news on the hour, reaching you live from our studio in the nation's capital.
And that has been the news. Many thanks for watching. My name is Fatima Abbas Hassan. I'm there cutting Baba today.
I am Kyrian Umaya.
The politics of Lagos State is still very much in the hands of the leaders.
My name is Dayo Omogun. I've not done a change of name.
King Adebayo Film and Theatre Arts Network.
We always dish out beautiful materials. Imagine a beautiful world. That's our slogan at Kaftan TV. Hello there. I am Ruben Okala.
Hello, I'm glad to have you join us again on the news on the hour, reaching you live from our studio in the nation's capital.
And that has been the news. Many thanks for watching. My name is Fatima Abbas Hassan. I'm there cutting Baba today.
I am Kyrian Umaya.
The politics of Lagos State is still very much in the hands of the leaders.
My name is Dayo Omogun. I've not done a change of name.
King Adebayo Film and Theatre Arts Network.
We always dish out beautiful materials.
You're welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're still on to the POLITY, reaching you live from the Abuja studio of King Adebayo Film and Theatre Arts Network, popularly known as KAFTAN TV, where we imagine a beautiful world. Our conversation this afternoon is on local government autonomy, as the National Assembly, particularly the House of Representatives, passed the bill to second reading for the creation of National Independent Electoral Commission for Local Government Administration. You know, they will be saddled with to provide periodic reports on activities and the outcomes of local government elections to the president, as you know, and the commission will be responsible for organizing, conducting, and supervising elections into the offices of chairmen and councillors of all local governments in the federation, including the area councils of the Federal Capital Territory, among so many things, including election timetable, managing of polling processes, and ensure compliance, you know, by political parties. And here with me, that remains with me in the studio, is Honorable Vidinho Bameyi, a lawyer and one-time member of the State House of Assembly of Adamawa State from 1999 to 2007. Oh, okay. You know, we were, my last question to Honorable Samuel Akala, I asked him, if we get all this, you know, brouhaha behind us, what kind of local government, give me a picture of the kind of local government you'll be expecting in terms of the process for, you know, that will lead up to the election of the leadership at the local government level, and even the campaigns and the kind of people, the kind of caliber of people that will be attracted, you know, to that level of governance.
Thank you very much. I think first and foremost, when you are able to ensure that the recruitment process, the process by which the chairman and councillors of local government are elected, is very transparent, is very credible, and is one that is devoid of a lot of the kind of shenanigans that goes on in the electionary process, you will have dealt with the second major problem that is belittling, that is bringing the local government system down. First is finances. Once they have financial autonomy, administrative autonomy, you give them the political autonomy also. Then you will see that individuals who are very creative, individuals who have the leadership qualities that it takes to deliver, you know, quality dividend of democracy, because there are some dividend of democracy that are not qualitative. They are just ephemeral. Just whitewash. So you deliver quality dividend of democracy to the people. You will discover that the local government administration will be better felt. Our rural areas will become developed because the local governments are right at the grassroots, and the people at the grassroots will feel the impact of governance, will have better infrastructure in place, because then they will be able to put up infrastructure, good ones in place. Then it will, you know, increase the nature of the kind of economic activities that goes on in the local government. Thereby, it will also even reduce the rural-urban migration that we have in Nigeria, even though it has gone to the extent of now it is national, international migration.
International migration.
Yes. So syndrome. All this can be curtailed because you will have people will sit down there, and because they will have meaningful jobs to do, they will have businesses, meaningful businesses to execute, and the economy will be robust. So you will have, you know, greater developments being felt at the local level, and it will help overall growth and GDP of the whole nation as a whole, because the rural areas constitute the greater majority of the Nigeria population. The cities are very small, fewer in number. Most of the people of this country live at the rural areas. So if you have good governance and good dividend of democracy and infrastructural projects taking place all over the local governments, people will have no need to migrate to urban areas or even get out of the country.
Well, let me digress a little bit, but within the confines of the political space. You are the National Secretary of the Young Progressives Party, YPP.
Yes.
The party has been quiet. You know, there are political talks everywhere, and the political firmament is being heated up. But in the midst of this, YPP is quiet. Are you quiet, or are you strategizing to just bounce back with a surprise?
Well, thank you very much. YPP is not quiet at all. YPP is not quiet. You remember we got registration in 2017.
That's right.
7th of June. And by 2019, we participated. The first time in election, we got a senatorial seat. And 2023, last general elections, we had close about 15 legislative seats. 1 Senate, 3 House of Reps, and 11 state assemblies. The current speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly is a YPP person. He's of the YPP stock. The only YPP legislator there, and yet he's the speaker. And what he has achieved as speaker, previous speakers from 99 to date had not achieved all those ones. Wow. In just 1 year and few months, 1 year, 4 months. So what am I saying? We have not been quiet. There is nothing that is happening in this nation that we have not responded to, including the most recent one, that is the
coalition.
Yes, the coalition. We are in talks with some.
Have you been approached by anybody?
Oh yes.
Any political heavyweight? Okay.
Oh yes, we've been approached by some political heavyweights for a possible coalition, and we're considering it, and we're cooking something. And by the grace of God, very soon you will start smelling the good savour
of what we're
cooking.
Is it half done yet?
Well, we're still cooking. We're cooking, and the Nigerians will begin to feel the impact of the party in a couple of months from now, and we'll go into the grassroots, and you would see the kind of thing that you've not seen. We believe that this government ought to be changed, and it will be changed by the grace of God. We believe in the ballot revolution. That is what YPP stands for. And YPP is out to raise a new breed of leaders without greed. So our focal point is the youth and the young persons, and the people who are young at heart like me and you. So that because we need the kind of change that would transform Nigeria through the ballot box. So very soon you would see something that is going to happen.
Well, the gladiators are involved in the coalition talks.
Yes.
One of them, you know, the most vocal and the leading, the Arrowhead, has already made his own decision to decamp to the Social Democratic Party. We have not heard anyone that has decamped to YPP yet, any heavyweight. But they are talking. And only day before yesterday, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar gave a press conference where, you know, he gave an interview, an exclusive interview to one of the sister TV stations, where he said, yes, he reiterated the fact that, you know, talks are ongoing, and they will soon make a decision by, you know, adopting a political party. I'm looking at these people, strange bedfellows coming together and, you know, coming to your fold. That's the YPP. How do you view that kind of scenario?
You know, they say necessity is the mother of invention. Let me tell you, the truth of the matter is the situation of what is going to happen in 2027 will be akin to what happened in 1999.
Okay.
You know, by 1998, the political gladiators were tired of the dribbling of the military when it comes to political handover. And it was very clear that the military were not ready to hand over power to the civilians. So you saw a coalition of very strange bedfellows coming together to come just with the purpose of ousting the military, easing them out of power.
That was the purpose. That was one single purpose.
Yes. So now, what is happening again, it's having strange bedfellows coming together with the purpose of ousting this administration out of power, because of the untold hardships that it has brought to Nigerians. In fact, in the history of Nigeria, there has been no presidency that has brought hardships to Nigeria like this one. So that is why you are seeing this coalition coming up, strange bedfellows, and together with the sole purpose of ousting this administration. And it's going to happen.
It's going to happen, but
yes,
you know, many of them have unwavering ambition to be number one. Do you see them? Who do you see? Extricating himself from that, ambition?
Well, I won't mention names, but gradually, talks are going on, alliances are being made, discussions are taking place, and people of like minds are putting minds together, and at the end of the day, the best will come out, and all the others will support a person that will be the arrowhead of that coalition that will oust this government. So,
people like us
give it time.
People like us are keeping tab on events as they unfold.
Yes.
This coalition, is it about a new political party, or is it about adopting one existing political platform? From what you're hearing.
Yes, from what I know and what I'm hearing and what is happening.
And what's happening?
Is that the possibility of replicating what happened in 2014 that brought about the APC.
The APC.
Is not likely going to happen.
Okay.
Again, because we know the way this administration operates. It's not likely that they will allow INEC to register a coalition of political parties, because if you bring up all the parties together and you want to form a name, definitely you will, all their names will go.
Yes.
You will have to apply to INEC,
and
they will have to give it a new certificate.
Okay.
So that process, I don't see this administration sitting by and watching.
Allowing amalgamation.
Yes, amalgamation of political parties. I don't think that will happen. But what I think is going to happen, and what is happening, is that political parties will coalesce their interests into one, especially when it comes to the issue of the presidency.
The presidency.
And a particular party would be adopted as where that particular presidential candidate is going to come out from, and all other parties will now work towards ensuring that that president emerges. So when he forms government, there will be a government of national unity, that will bring about all the parties in the coalition together in the government. And that is what I think is going on.
But many of them are being accused of, putting ahead personal interest rather than national interest. A case in point is there are pushbacks with El-Rufai and Abala Nasir El-Rufai defecting to the Social Democratic Party. There are pushbacks within the fold of the political party. Even the presidential candidate of the SDP, Prince Wale Adebayo, has reacted, saying, "Hey, whoever is coming, you're coming to meet our creed, so you have to, abide by our creed." Don't you, smell some cracks, emerging?
Well, very personally speaking, and with a critical mind, I foresee cracks coming in that. And to my mind, I think maybe the Malam Nasir El-Rufai was maybe a bit hasty in,
choosing a platform.
Without waiting for the
talks to commence.
To fully, arrive.
He was in the midst of consultations, and then the following day, on a Monday.
So, but in any case, he is entitled to his opinion. Right. He has the right to belong to any political association, and whatever happens, definitely the people who were there earlier on, like this, the former presidential candidate of SDP, will not just sit back and watch people come and oust him. He has invested in that party, and he is also investing and making preparations to stage a second attempt at the presidency. So whatever happens there, I wouldn't know what will really happen, but I think there's the likelihood of cracks taking place. And then the coalition is still under talks. Coalition talks are still ongoing. So we foresee where there will be consensus at a meeting of the minds, eventually. There's still time. So many things can happen.
Well, we're winding down, and in the journey to 2027, what would you be advising Nigerians to look at for, particularly the electorate, in terms of political party and individuals that are throwing their hearts in the race to contest various elective offices?
I think what I will advise Nigerians is, first and foremost, if you're looking at a political party, you must look at a political party that is free of rancor, divisions and problems, issues here and there.
Don't market your party because you're going to pay.
No, I'm not marketing my party. I'm not mentioning any party. I'm not going to mention the name of any party. They should look at a party that is strong, solid, and focused leadership.
Like APC?
Because, I don't think APC falls into that category. I can.
That sounds sarcastic, right? It sounds sarcastic, right?
Yes. So, but the important thing, actually, is not even the political party.
Yeah.
It is the individuals. The people should focus on those individuals coming out to run for offices. Because we have had most of the parties have very good manifesto. But you find out that people who are elected on the platform of those parties end up not even implementing anything in the manifesto. From the APC, when it was founded, if I will give an example with the APC, which is the ruling party, they had a very good manifesto.
Yeah.
But from the time they got into power to date, I don't think they even make any reference to their manifesto. They have thrown it aboard, and the leaders that they've elected are just doing whatever they wish. So I don't think we should focus more on political parties. We should focus more on the people. You know the kind of person that is coming into running for office, whether he merits that office, he befits that office. Listen to him very carefully, read what he says or what he writes, to know whether he's the kind of person that will turn the fortunes of Nigerians around. Because Nigeria needs a complete turnaround. A complete turnaround. Things have gone berserk, and we need somebody who is going to straighten this country, bring it from the doldrums that it has fallen into. So it's the individuals that we should look at and what they have to offer, not even the political party that they stand. Because a lot of times they get into power and they forget about the political parties and the ideologies or manifesto of those parties. They have personal ideologies, agenda, manifestos that they embark on. So that is my candid advice to Nigerians. Let's look at the individuals more than on the parties.
Well, on that note, I would like to thank you most profoundly for availing your time to us this afternoon on the Polity. Thank you so much, Honorable Videno Pamei.
Thank you very much.
Well, you've heard it. There are bad people just like there are good people in all political parties. There are bad members in PDP as well as good people. There are bad people in APC as well as good people because they are all Nigerians. It's the same thing in YPP, the same thing in SDP. But all he's saying is look out for people that have good intentions, people that are not talking about self, but they're talking about Nigeria. And I will leave you with this quote from an old, century-old great Greek philosopher Plato, who once said, if you do not participate in the affairs of your government, then you'll be left to be under the rule of fools. Don't allow yourself to be under the rule of fools. That's the size of our package this afternoon. I remain yours truly, Macaulay Honohashi, saying, thanks for joining us and see you next time. God bless Nigeria.
Thank you.
a beautiful word. That's our slogan at Kaftan TV. Hello there. I am Ruben Okala.
Hello, and glad to have you join us again on the news on the hour, reaching you live from our studio in the nation's capital.
And that has been the news.